Good morning. Beautiful Monday morning here in Spring, Texas. I have a guest with me today. So we went to a conference, a seminar last week in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was able to bring about, 15 of my top performers with me, and I have them all backstage. Steve is going to be up first. We wanted to talk about what we learned and how we're going to implement that and take action into our business lives. So Steve, talk to me about what you learned last week and then your takeaway, what you're going to implement.
I learned to do uncomfortable things and kind of time management. And one thing that we're working on right now is what they did really well was ancillary plans and kind of bundling them. So I have my assistant working on those right now, so we can start implementing those as fast as we can. And then also one thing I enjoyed from Coach Bert was kind of looking at our skills and jotting down our skills, and then looking at our problems and jotting down the problems. And that was kind of an eye-opening a little bit on being real on my problems, and then seeing, then to work with the problems, make those solutions, and then how to grow faster. You're muted.
What are you giving your assistant to do for the ancillary?
So we're going to, right now, I'm kind of thinking, because normally my presentation is not PowerPoint. So we might do a PowerPoint, but we might do so she's redoing my intake, taking a little bit of what we've had, a little bit of what Chase had, and redoing those on those. So it's easier to then go into the three products. So we'll have three different choices, choice 1, 2, and 3.
Do an application on yourself. One thing we did, Steve, when we were at the house is we went round robin talking about what we personally owned, right?
Yep.
And I need to write myself a critical illness, right? And I want everybody to write their own policies because we have had a couple agents and spouses with critical illnesses in just the last year. But ancillary, it's needed because imagine you're a PNC agent not offering you roadside assistance or glass coverage. And when that problem happens, you say, well, why don't I have this? And they say, because you didn't ask for it. Right? We have to offer it because people don't automatically assume or think about it. They just think I need Medicare, right? And it's our job to offer them the solutions and tell them about the holes in what Medicare doesn't cover. So our presentation acted a couple, I want to say about a month ago, covers what Medicare doesn't cover, right?
Yep.
Very good. Anything else you want to share?
No, just instead of talking, just doing it. Implementation.
So how are you implementing it? Do you have a daily to-do thing?
Yep.
Okay. And on your to-do things, like, are you eating the frog first? Eating the frog means doing the thing that causes your biggest problem first.
Yeah. So I labeled them all, 1 to 10 on the flight home, and so I started working on it on the flight home.
Perfect.
And so then I implemented everything 1 to 10, and just concentrating on. That's also what I learned: concentrating on one only thing, doing it fully 100%. And then getting rid of it, and then going number 2, doing it 100%. Because as you know, we get so much information.
So much.
And if you kind of look at it all, and I've done this many times, and just basically, so I'm just honing it one at a time.
Good.
Forcing myself to change.
Love it. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you.
Next up, we have Eddie. Eddie, thank you for joining us today. He's coming to us from Arkansas.
Morning, Joanna.
Morning. So tell us about your what you learned last week and your takeaways.
Yeah, it was a ton of information. I mean, not just at the seminar, but when we got back to the Airbnb, still just learning and training. And so I tried to take as many notes as I could, but there was so much. And I also recorded a lot of this, so I'll have plenty to listen to on my drive time. But yeah, I think the big key takeaways that I had from the seminar are really more related to systems and vision. So one thing that I realized pretty quickly is that I'm not thinking big enough. I've been like, Medicare is going to grow year after year, like I'm going to get bigger, but these guys are pushing for $1 million in sales quickly, not 5 years down the road, they want to figure out how to scale their system and make it so that they can actually get to that number a lot quicker. So that's probably one of the biggest key takeaways I had from that is just, you're never going to reach what you don't aim for. And if you're aiming low, then yeah, you can hit that, but there's no challenge there. And there's no call to do something greater or rebuild your business. But aside from that, Steve touched on a few things. The keywords that were just repeated there, like a mantra, were, optimize your business process, amplify your results, and scale by adding others to your business. And so they talked a lot about, your initial sales process, cross-selling from the beginning, which, when I first got into this, before I did insurance, I did State Farm, and that's kind of what I always did. I was like, they always said pitch it, all together as a bundle. I was like, why have I not been doing that in this business? That's ridiculous. so yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things is just being able to offer that and have a good client needs assessment that asks the right questions, to have that all, worked out beforehand. And I think that's probably the biggest thing I'm going to end up taking away from there. There was a ton of other, nuggets of information though.
What are you going to do to amplify?
So what I need to do is figure out my marketing situation. I actually have a marketing plan. I know I talked with you a little bit about that. And so that is my number one goal this month, is to number one, take advantage of local marketing. I'm a dummy. I don't have flyers everywhere. I don't have cards everywhere. I don't have referral partners like you and I had talked about, and they had mentioned on stage referral partners. That's something easy I can be doing. So, amplifying is where I'm going to be focused most this month, and until it takes, or however long it takes, to really get me those results. Because to scale, I need to see more people, and that if that means sitting in front of more people and doing seminars, that's great. If that means putting more into marketing and actually having a repeatable game plan where I can track the results, that's great too. But that's really my biggest focus right now.
I think the one-to-one business model makes it hard to scale. And I would like to see you do one-to-many, like in a seminar, at least once a month, right? It doesn't have to be every day like Steve, but it should be at least once a month doing a seminar of various topics, not just a Medicare 101, because I think everybody doesn't need a Medicare 101 after they're 65 and on Medicare, but like how to get extra help for Part D, Medicare Savings Program assistance. Like so many people qualify for that. As you know, when you're in the house, Eddie runs a lot of final expense business. And I'm sure you find so many people qualify for programs that they don't even know that exist or how to apply for it, right? And so that's an easy seminar that people would come in, and it's easy to market. You just run a Facebook ad that you have in it and have it at an easy place to access, like a senior center. We're doing something at the YMCA soon, and using our audience too, right? So yeah, so you need a little bit more sticks in the fire, because if your lead source runs out, you have to be able to pivot, right? So I do agree with that. Thank you so much. You have anything else you want to share?
No, I've got a whole book of notes here, but I'm not gonna go through all that with you guys. But it was great, and yeah, I appreciate you. I will share that it was unique in that you went so far out of your way and did so much for your agents, and so I just can't say enough about how appreciative I am for that experience. It was wonderful.
I'm appreciative of you guys too. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Miss Tamara, you're muted.
Hey.
Hey, so this was your very first seminar, not affiliated with an IMO, right?
Right.
And were you surprised? Because you thought we were going to talk Medicare all day.
Yeah, I was, because everyone knows that I don't do Medicare. Everyone knows I've been straight lined. ACA, cancer and dental is what I focused on. But really there was a lot to take out. Even the Medicare conversations are things that can be implemented for what I do and my team does. As far as the needs analysis form, as far as diving into final expense, I have all these clients, why not call them back and offer it? I'm also taking the forms that they gave for examples and changing them up for all of my team that, because they're all ACA. But at the end of the day, don't take the easy way out and just sell an ACA plan.
Right.
So if I give a needs analysis form to them to help them be able to bundle, then that's just making them more money. But I'm trying to make it easy from the start so it doesn't intimidate them, because you can't be intimidated or you're never going to get anywhere.
Now, you've been bundling for a long time.
And 9 times out of 10, they say yes. Cancer, I automatically just assume on every cell already. And I kind of in my head have done it so long that I kind of know which premiums to target. And I pretty much tell them, I found you a plan with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I hit the highlights, so, $500 deductible, 7,000 max, a few copays, and I tell them it also includes, an added dental and vision plan and a cancer plan, for a total of this amount per month. So then at that case, not only am I making, the per month per member on ACA for as long as they keep the plan. So you can do cancer, dental, things like that. But I'm still missing the boat when it comes to life insurance and final expense. So my next few weeks is really just contacting my clients, my book of business, and just telling them, hey, we went over this. Do you have something in place? Whether it's enough just to bury them or it's enough to leave behind for their kids to go to college. Either way, a sell is a sell.
Zach is so excited to help you with your final expense.
Oh, yes. This last couple days home have been all catch up, and I had so much customer service to do. And then I'm like, Zach, I'm getting with Zach because I'm going to do it. There's no reason not to. I have 1,500 plus ACA clients just sitting there, and then tons of old, referrals that I got from my partners that didn't sell that I can recontact back again and just say, hey, are you still in the market? Or, offer them. I now offer, life insurance. If you already have your health insurance through your job, how about life insurance? Even if you have it through your job, what happens when you leave that job? Not always a guarantee it goes with you.
That is very true. And then sometimes like the jobs don't offer life insurance. Like if they're a smaller company under 50, a lot of times they don't offer life insurance and health insurance or any other benefits. A lot of jobs don't have to. And work insurance is not always good insurance. I had a spouse die when I was working at Social Security. The spouse died and the claim did not pay out. And we were doing a GoFundMe for a federal employee spouse who'd passed, it was crazy.
Right.
I'm like, how is our insurance? Our insurance is supposed to be good,
Right. Well, and a lot of people, those that know me personally know, even like on the cancer plans, I got my payout. At that point, my sister, again, all of them realized how serious it was. And she wound up getting a plan. And 9 months later, she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And so she got a payout. So, and that's why I stick with the company that I choose to use because I've went through the claims process. I know it. I've sold them for so long. They're reputable. And I've learned that when you're bundle selling to minimize the amount of carriers, so they're not getting 5 different drafts from 5 different companies. It's easier for me to say, you're going to have this draft from Blue Cross Blue Shield, but then you're going to have your other drafts from this company.
Because Aetna, your favorite is Aetna Senior, and they cover most bases because you can have their dental and vision, you can have their hospital indemnity and cancer, so they can just get one bill for those other products.
Right. And they also have final expense. So they have a lot of different products. So that's like my go-to. And then it's easier when it goes to training people or how to do it, it's easier to train them so they're not overcomplicating things. It's not confusing. It's all in one spot. So it's also easy training people or even seasoned agents who just maybe aren't bundling. It's easier to focus on one, instead of trying to teach them 15 different products at one time and overloading them and them not selling anything at all.
So you've always picked one, and that's what Steve was talking about before. Is a lot of us get all these different carriers, and then we're like, all right, so what cancer carrier should I sell this person?
Right.
And most cancer policies are about the same, and the claims process might be different. Just pick one and learn one, and do something is better than nothing, right?
Well, and I've went through different carriers. I've tested them out. I've looked at the premiums and the benefits and even the commissions. And they're just out of almost all of them I check, they're the best in all aspects of it. And the good thing about it is a lot of times we have those families where the husband or wife is 5 or 10 years older than the other spouse. Well, on Aetna's cancer plan, you can use the younger spouse's age and lock them into that instead of using the older one.
That is a good nugget. What else did you take away from the week, Tamara?
I just think that was it. Well, number one, finding a team that we all fit in. We're the team of misfits. We all do things differently, but at the end of the day, we're all out for the same goal. And I think it's just a good thing. I've been through different, FMOs. I worked for a company for 10 years, but you just don't have that morale that we have, and just really building each other up and everybody helping one another. And that's the thing. We all have a lot to learn. Nobody is perfect. We all can learn from somebody. I've had a few contact me. They're wanting to get on board with Aetna, and learning. And that's just my thing. I I think it's huge for us. And I think that Topflight has to stick together, and kind of just focus on those carriers and just building it up. Because I feel like one day Topflight and all of us could be one of the biggest ones out there if we just keep sticking to it.
I like that goal. We're working on an island.
I can't hear you. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Anything.
Okay.
I hear you. Might be Tamara might not be able to hear.
I can hear you now, Zach.
You hear me?
I can hear you.
Do you see a third person?
I see
Can you see
Joanna,
her
but
too?
I can't hear.
I hear.
Okay, cool.
Now I
Thank you so
can.
much for coming, Tamara. Any final thoughts?
Nope. I just think 2025 is our years, guy. Anybody that needs help with Etna or Button or role playing, just email me, message me. We'll set it up.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Shauna, your mic is muted, honey.
Can you hear me now?
So was this your first non-FMO conference?
Yes. It was
What
actually
did
my
you-
first real conference, really.
Okay. What was your takeaways?
I took away a lot. I'm one of those type of people that try to do it all on my own.
Mhm.
And I've actually been just really overwhelmed. So I am definitely implementing the possibility of getting a VA to help with my customer service, because it seems I'm always servicing customers instead of like customers I've had for years instead of getting new ones. So that's my goal, is to make my book bigger.
And so I was scared of getting a VA until AEP 2023. And I just was like, I couldn't sell, and the phone was ringing nonstop. And some seniors will call you 16 times like it's 1980 and you don't see the first 15, and so I got a VA, and he's been with me ever since. We have a bunch of VAs now. It's just, you have to set up your system first before you can bring on somebody else.
Yes.
So when I teach how to do a VA, the very first thing that every agent needs is to get the phones off their plate, right?
One is the way I market. I definitely need to market myself more out there. I did create a Winchester Insurance Facebook page. So I'm getting there, working on logos, my branding, getting out there on the town. Friday, I actually got out a little bit on the town square.
Nice.
I am not a out and about person. I'm really good on the phone. But out and about, I've actually have talked to a couple of the businesses there in regards to holding meetings there in the square.
Good.
I've never done that either. So, but we're in a community where, we're definitely an over 65 community. Yes, we have a lot of young ones moving in, but I mean, literally, they just built a huge senior complex right down 377. So definitely, they're moving in still, and it's definitely the community to do it. And then we have, of course, other companies trying to get our services from other places. Why not have someone local that's just right there, and really need to do that?
What I would do if I was you is I would walk and talk. So the resource manual I built for you, I would put your new logo on it and walk in with one and show them the, education that you provide, because nobody else does that. People say I'm going to do a Medicare 101, but they don't solve a lot of the problems that once people have Medicare do, right? So I would bring instead of just talking, bring proof of, yeah, exactly. The blue one. Yeah. I would bring the proof of what you actually provide. I didn't want to put myself on camera, and I didn't do my YouTubes, and I didn't do a lot of stuff, and it cost me millions. I also don't go out and about and stuff but there's only so much business we can do virtually and inbound. We want more people to see us, right? You want to be omnipresent. You want your name to be known. You want the recognition, the branding. Branding is everything, and that's how you're going to build a sustainable business and not constantly be looking for leads in the next sale. You eventually want to get to a point where sales just come into you.
Right.
So I like that you took action. You have to get over your fear in this business, because if it makes you uncomfortable, you should probably do it, And you don't have to go crazy overnight. Just do something better today that you didn't do yesterday. Same thing with like anything, right? Like I'm trying to lose weight. So obviously it's hard to go from eating restaurants all day and everything to like rabbit food, but just something better today. Like I have my water next to me and everything. I drank 4 bottles of water yesterday. I'm feeling good.
There you go.
Same thing with business, right? Just like Steve was talking about before, just take one thing and just do that, like add in another thing. So I like that you got out into the town square and everything, especially the smaller communities. It's a lot easier to build up a name fast in a smaller community.
Right.
Awesome. Any other takeaways?
Not that I can think of, but I'm sure there's a lot because I have a lot of notes. So.
I love it. Well, thanks so much for coming. We enjoyed hanging out with you last week.
I enjoyed myself too, and I appreciate you very much for inviting me and getting me out there. So
yeah. All right. See you next time.
All right. Thanks.
Emily.
Hi.
Are you in your new office?
I am. I'd give y'all a tour, but it's still a little bit messy. So
I understand moving. So was last week your first seminar too?
No, I went to Savannah.
Savannah with us. That is correct.
Yeah, this was my second one, and now I feel like I caught the bug because like it was really awesome being around other agents. Like that was an awesome thing for me because I feel like we are in such a like a lonely business. We talked about this a little bit, but it's like it really gave me a sense of community for one. That like I feel like I am alone in this office right now, but I know I have all you guys, to bounce ideas off of, or just to express frustration to, or whatever. So I want to say thank you again for that opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite parts of going out into the country and to seminars and conferences is getting to hang out with other people who speak my language, because it is a lonely life, especially because not many other businesses understand what we do. And being solo agency owners, it is tough, and a lot of the people locally might not want to share with you their secret sauce, right? Because that's your competition.
I've experienced that. Yes.
I do enjoy it. So what did you learn last week?
I think my main takeaway is like, obviously I knew at the end of that whole thing, it was going to be some type of a sales pitch for sure, but I definitely took away, some of the flaws that I have, and that is a lot of like, I'm very good one-on-one with people or one-on-two, and people like me, I have a good retention rate, all of that. But I'm realizing at only about 400 clients right now that I'm kind of reaching my limit of giving the service that I, as one person, can do. So I really learned from the conference that, I need to start implementing some automations, and I really need to simplify the process. Not everything has to be so complicated. I really need to, I've had, Atomic for a while now, and I just need to bite the bullet and do it and learn it. And because a lot of the packaged stuff that they were selling, we already have. We already have these tools. It's just a matter of me like doing it, bundling it together and doing it. And so that was my main takeaways. I really need to, it's been a hectic month for me, February was, but now it's like, okay, once I get settled, I'm really going to start learning Atomic and implementing those automations, because I feel like it could replace, a lot of the service work that I'm doing. So,
and that's why we built Atomic in the middle of Zach having a baby and me moving and everything, is because, we see that agents have frustrations, and a lot of us had other services, but nobody was using them because it seems complicated, and I'm the queen of buying stuff and not using it, by the way. That was a lot of what I heard last week is we have this, we're just not using it, So just being more intentional with your resources. And I've we've talked about this a lot when I did my one-on-ones with a lot of agents, is maybe they weren't aware of all the functions of a particular product to use it, right? So I love that you're going to explore your automations. Zach, you have the perfect upline for that. He loves to do that at midnight. What else are you going to take away?
Yeah, bundling. I know somebody else touched on that, but I mean, I love the way they just kind of like had just the thought of somebody calling me up and said, I want that umbrella 3. Like, I was like, wow, like that would be awesome if somebody just called me up and said, I want that, which means I want cancer and I want a hospital indemnity and I want all of that. Like having that. Just having, like, I want that, and that also means I'm probably going to have to shift what I do a little bit, because I do a lot of face-to-face. So I think that's going to mean a lot more of maybe phone sales, which again, I need to get comfortable with, just because I've always been the compliance, like scared of compliance, oh, I'm not saying the right things. I'm not, and I just need to get over that. Like,
Yeah, can I speak to this real quick too?
Sure.
So I think a lot of people think that digital sales, webinars, that kind of thing replaces face-to-face, and it doesn't. It's part of the step, right? So it's connecting with somebody and saying, hey, I want to have our conversation. I want to have our meeting, but I want it to be as fruitful as possible. And I want to get to, and a lot of times my clients unfortunately feel like at the end of the conversation, when we get through all the nuts and bolts of how things work, they feel like they're running out of time. They feel rushed. I don't want that for you. I want you to have the information before we meet. So I'm going to send you a video. Why don't you go ahead and watch the video before our meeting, and there'll be a couple notes, and they'll ask you to take. So have a piece of paper with you, take a couple notes, and then bring that notepad in for your meeting. And when you come in for our meeting, it's gonna fly by a lot easier, and our conversation can be centered around what's practical for you, not the nuts and bolts of how everything works.
Absolutely, yeah. I need to get on that web. I need to film my, I guess, webinar that I would be sending out to my clients. I think that's a great first step.
We'll do it. We're going to be doing a webinar challenge coming up here, and
very cool.
We're going to get you set up and ready to go.
Very cool.
I love it. A lot of people want to do webinars, and I know you and I have tried before, and then our schedule got away from us. And Zach, this was actually Zach's brilliant idea. Because Zach told me one day, he's like, Joanna, you will reschedule on yourself, but you won't reschedule on me. So have your virtual assistant or somebody meet with you to actually shoot the webinar. It doesn't have to be an hour-long webinar. It could just be a 10-minute intro, just a 10-minute, because the purpose of a webinar is to get an appointment, to get a lead, right? So we're going to start having Atomic clients schedule with our staff to actually record their webinars to go live on Atomic.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
That was what I was brainstorming while I was taking on my notes. I was like, okay, I could do this. Because I think that if you were scheduled to meet with Charlotte or Angel or John, you're going to show up. You're not going to reschedule them, right? And
they're in the Philippines.
Right, but they can help you. And like when I was getting started with recording myself, a lot of times I would hit restart all day, but we can edit it, right? And so, yeah, so I'm really excited for that. What else did you take away?
I mean, that's the majority of what sticks out to me is just that, like I said, every speaker was awesome. I mean, the coach was awesome. Just that sense of, community that we all have as agents. And that's awesome knowing that we have that. And yeah, I mean, the main things to me were what I need to work on myself. And of course, with the automations and the webinars and the bundling, those are my main takeaways.
The frog is automations, webinars, and bundling. Those are our goals for the next couple weeks.
Yep.
We're going to do it.
Yep.
Thank you so much
again.
You're welcome. Thank you. Up next, Amber and Amber.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're great. So a lot of the stuff that was already touched on was stuff for us, or for me, that, really stuck out. So I'll pick 3 things. So there were some moments in this conference that were kind of emotional for me. And when the coach started talking, I couldn't put my finger on what the feeling was, which is weird for me because usually I'm able to be like, oh, I know where this came from and why. But he said something that really stuck with me and has helped me since. It's okay to give yourself the grace to grieve the loss of your potential and where you are. And so some of us aren't where we are where we should be in our minds, and that's okay. Nothing is the same for all of us, but we're all still here. And so now that we've found the place where we belong, we can get to these other places. And this was the journey that we were supposed to take. So that was really helpful for me, just from a perspective of life. And then your skill, like you have to define what your skill is. And so it doesn't matter how skilled you are at something, if it's not in the right vehicle, you're never going to get anywhere. And so when the coach said, like, what is your primary skill? Like, take that and run with it. And whatever it's not, then you hire someone else to do those other things. Like, I don't want to answer the phone. If you call me 7 times in a row, like, I'm going to get annoyed and flip a table through a window. Like, so I need to have somebody that does that for me. And so when someone sends me a sassy text message or email that says, you know, Amber's too busy for me, like, it's fine. But I know what my skills are, and my skills are people and disarming people and educating and the grit that lives inside of me. So I take that skill and I figure out my problems and I put it in my vehicle, and the things that I'm not good at and don't want to do, that's what our VAs are for. That's what, you know, it all the moving parts are. And then something that I think is just really helpful, and Medicare Misty talked about this, and I love it because I love doing this stuff too, is remembering that marketing and branding are not the same thing. So, like, there are coasters and towels and water bottles, and anytime you see anybody in Baltimore with a yellow water bottle, it's a Phoenix Benefits water bottle. And so making sure that, like, you're doing both things. Like, people don't have any idea what my name is at all. It's like the tall blonde or Phoenix. Marketing and branding are two things that, you know, you can market through your CRM, but brand yourself. And that's where people are going to come to you no matter what your bundle is. So you want to sell them ice cubes and trash cans, they're going to come to you. So those were some of the big things. One that I was really proud of myself for doing, things I can learn from, and then something that was really validating in my emotions. So,
yeah.
And the 7 Habits. Everybody that's successful always talks about this. So if you haven't read that book, it is on Spotify. Put it in your ear pods and, like, listen to it constantly.
Yeah, well, we have you here too. I think we've talked about it in the past, but I'm gonna get you to commit hardcore for me. I think we need to do a training. We talked about doing a training on branding, and Amber rocks that part of it out. And I think we'll come back. We'll do a Medicare Mentors with Amber on branding.
I love it.
I love that. I love spending money.
Zach likes spending money too.
Especially when the card says Joanna Wyckoff on it.
Anything else, Amber?
No, I think everybody touched on everything. It was a really great experience, and we're really thankful. So
I had a blast. I'm glad you were able to make it, and we had a fun at the hockey game and everything, which I implemented branding, right?
Yes, and made it on.
We made it on the Jumbotron and everything, right? So
Yes.
Everybody in Nashville knew who we were because we were there and we went in thick. You know, our pictures were everywhere at the stadium. I don't know if you call a hockey game a stadium, but yeah, like that was one of the lessons that I wanted to teach you guys. You know, but we had a fantastic time. That was actually my first time getting to hang out with you in person, and we had a blast. And I'm so glad that we had that opportunity, and I can't wait to. I think you're gonna have to come to Texas next time.
Yeah, we can record some stuff. We're gonna set up a whole office dedicated directly to the webinar stuff. So if anyone ever feels like jumping on a Southwest flight to Baltimore, you are more than welcome to use that tech. So
love it. Thank you. Thank you. Amber behind you just passed her life test. We're excited. We're excited. It's a fantastic journey. Amber changed my life. I actually got my insurance license to pay off my master's degree. So, we're excited for you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Joey, you got your mic on. Hey, nice to see you.
Hey, guys. Doing good. How are you?
Were you at the gym this morning?
I did. 5 o'clock. Hey, how about that? So I'm starting
That was
off
one
good.
of your goals.
It was. Yeah, man, I'm just so fired up. There's so much information that we got. And then, I told you we had to go to Atlanta for this level up thing about the final expense, and heard some more motivational speakers, and they gave away some awards to like the top 20 guys, for production. And it's just, man, it's just inspiring to see, people being successful in the insurance industry. So yeah, there's a lot. I got a whole book, and actually going to send you. It's like a whole book full of
Did you
notes.
type it up?
No, the girl sitting beside me, she was like on her computer looking, watching them talk, and I said, "Listen, I'm going to pay you if you'll forward me that when you get through with it." And she sent it to me.
Was that Nora?
I still took notes, but
Was that Nora?
scribbled.
Was that Nora?
It was Nora.
Oh, Nora's one of my friends now.
Nora's brilliant, and I put some plugs in for you for Nora. So
Nora hung out with us. She was with us on the party bus and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, she seems like she's leaning towards. She really liked you. She's leaning towards that way. So I would send her a.
So other than paying somebody to take your notes.
Well, you got to get creative. And
that was outsourcing at its finest, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna send it to you so we can send it out to folks if you want.
Thank you.
It's really good. It's professional looking. I would like to take credit for it, but I can't. But I do have it, so I get something. But yeah, just what really stuck out to me in the whole thing was just partnerships. Making some power moves, and then to optimize, amplify, and scale. And I'm just so fired up. My head is like this big right now with all the ideas and stuff that I want to try to implement. And the main thing is myself, taking care of myself, So we started going to the gym. We'll try to start eating right, no alcohol, for at least 75 days or so. We're going to try that. And, like today, I feel like, and I don't mean this like bragging or anything, but, it's 10 o'clock and I feel like I've done more than most people are going to do all day. I got here to the office at 7, I read, started reading a book, a little by Tony Evans, And so, 15 minutes of that, just a little bit, trying to get a little stuff involved in that. And I've been listening to y'all talking, and I think one company is the way to go for bundling. Aetna seems to be the one everybody's talking about. I don't know. So I haven't sold a lot of cancer and heart attack,
Have you sold
stroke.
Aetna final expense before?
I have.
So why I like Aetna is their application is easy to sign. Right. I'm a big easy signer. Like if it's not easy for the consumer to sign, because I'm remote now, then I don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
Because it has to be easy to sign. So that's
I will say this. There's a lot of other companies that's just as easy, if not easier. I would recommend just having a couple. You're going to, final expense is not like the ancillary. You're going to have a couple because one company's got the best of everything. You got smokers and you got folks that's got health issues. I mean, like if somebody's got diabetic neuropathy, I've got some companies that you can get them, day one coverage without having a 2-year waiting period and stuff like that. So you really need more than one with those. But starting out, you may want to just get one. So like someone was saying earlier, I can't remember, you just don't want to confuse everybody and get it overwhelming where they just don't do anything. So you need to have, at least one to start with and then kind of work from there. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm fired up.
What is it that you're going to implement immediately?
Well, I already did that already is I've got an executive assistant, and so I'm putting more information on her. She's handling everything to do with people calling in about problems with their Medicare. I got her handling. And then like changes, I had a guy call in this morning. His mother passed away. I talked with him for a little bit and I said, listen, I'm going to get my assistant to call you. She's going to call you with the company and handle all the getting the death claim. So that takes a lot off my plate. Yep. Very excited about what you were talking about, the VoIP or something like that. I need to get my phone away. Listen, I was going all week and I come back and I've got like a notebook full of things I got to do today. And I'm giving most of that away, because, I'm not at the level to where I can just sit here and manage, I've still got to produce myself, so I'm going to take like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, with an exception of today, and be in the field working. And so anything that comes in on the phone is going to go, I'm going to get it forwarded right to my assistant to handle those nitpick calls, because it can bog you down just trying to change a beneficiary, because these companies, you call them up and you call her number 15. You know what I mean? So I don't have time for that. And as a insurance executive, so we need to spend more time producing. So we're going to do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, recruiting Thursday and Friday, maybe riding with an agent that's struggling, something like that.
I love that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Time blocking is essential.
I think one of the biggest VoIP hacks too is, because Joanna and I do this now, is when you get a voicemail in and you need to like get it to somebody else to handle. When you've a voice over internet provider, most of them will email you your voicemails. And so when you have that voicemail that comes through, or you got the button where you can send it off, and you come through and it'll do a text description of like what it was. It'll read it to you. It'll give you the text as though it were an email, whatever the voicemail is. That way, just like it was an email, if you can't handle it or you need somebody else to address it, you just ship that email. You take that email, ship it off to whoever's going to handle it, and say, hey, get this resolved in the next 2 hours, or if you can't, let me know. And then it makes it easier to get stuff like that done.
Yeah. And I was thinking, I was a little nervous about trying to get the virtual assistant, and I'm still not quite. I'm like 90% now, because you're paying them $4 an hour. That's $160 a week. Man, we just blow that for over nothing, Yeah. So it'd be important just to handle your phone calls.
I can help you with that. I helped Eddie and Jeff hire their VA, and I helped Scott hire a VA. So I'm actually interviewing for more next week, so I can help you with that.
Okay, good.
What did Mandy think about it? Same.
She loved it. She's fired up, and she's going to kind of help me with the technical aspect of it, And we'll make a good team. Not many people can work with their significant other, but I think we've been doing it now for about, I guess, 8 months or so, and things are good,
I love it. I love
So
it.
yeah, she's gonna be a big help. She's really good over the phone too, as well. Not so much face to face, but so
The face-to-face, it just practice, just like your new agents, they need to, do 20 appointments to feel like they are catching on and, catching it's just practice.
Yeah. And another thing, just thinking about some of the stuff that was said, we really want to try to brand ourselves more, try to do some of the webinars, to create some leads. You can never have enough leads. So we're always looking for new types of ways to get a hold of people and maybe even get them to call you, and then just doing a lot of stuff in the community to get your name out there so people know where to go,
That's right.
Sponsor little league teams and, do something at the golf course or whatever. And, I even thought about maybe getting a car and wrapping it and let my dad drive it around, for $10.
That's not a bad idea, as long as he's a good driver. I had to take the magnets off my car.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. That would be bad.
We don't wrap Zach's car for a reason.
That's a good safety. That's a good safety tip. I'm not. I'm bad.
No, you're not.
Not good. It's not good. So I think we got about 2 more minutes left for an executive summary here. Thank you so much for coming on, Joey. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. No problem. No problem. Enjoyed it.
Oh, that's too quick. Sorry. Sorry, Joey. I was heavy on the finger. Text me and I'll get it in. But we love you. So, Joanna, question remains, like, you spent like an insane amount of money, an amount of money I don't even want to repeat, on doing this. And look, in the beginning, I was a naysayer. I came and I said, Joanna, like, don't do it. Don't do it. But I was wrong. I was wrong. I'll own up to that.
I like that I have this recorded now.
Yeah. Save forever. I'm usually wrong, at least some of the time. But with that said, what was your big, you took a bunch of people to see that. You got people who are on here who probably have like agents with them, downlines? Like, what is the value? Like, how do you assess whether or not something like this is worth it? And what is the desired outcome, if I can ask you this?
So sometimes you just have to take a risk. So I think you guys heard me say at dinner, if it makes dollars, it makes sense, right? And so spending, when you think about spending money on something like water bottles or something like Amber was talking about, you have to decide, is this going to return an ROI? And is it going to help my company? We saw this past AEP. I'll tell you why I did this. This past AEP, we saw carriers come in the middle of open enrollment and make plans that we had already marketed for them, non-commissionable. And some of my counties, I couldn't sell anything really. And it was really dismal, you know. It was a really good opportunity for newer agents, but for our seasoned agents who had already pitched them non-commissionable plans, now I'm losing my clients to a carrier who doesn't want to pay me, right? It's continuing. You know, one carriers in Florida just made a plans non-commissionable. The non-commission train did not stop. Now, are we protesting Congress? Yes. I'm on the executive board with HAFA, Health Agents for America, and we're trying to get Congress to recognize the problem, but that's not an overnight solution. And so I wanted our agents to pivot. I wanted our agents, especially the Medicare only agents, to not lose their shirts if the non-commission train continues. So I really wanted to invest heavily in, we've taught ancillary, we've taught that, but getting it implemented has been a big struggle for many agents, because when you're a broker and you have 50 products, sometimes that just bogs you down and you get analysis paralysis. I'm the queen of analysis paralysis, right? So I wanted
But it's just like Joey said, right? I know I need to do it.
Yeah.
I know it needs to happen. I know there's like almost no downside. I know the cost is nominal, but we get overwhelmed easy, and it's easy to, and that's not I'm not picking on Joey. That's not a Joey thing. That's a you thing. That's a me thing. We both went through that. We both went through, you know, trying to like struggle it out and make our lives 10 times harder than they needed to be.
Yep. So that's why I did it. And, you know, originally I just wanted you to get other coaching. And then, you know, Steve's like, I want to go. Moises like, I want to go. And it just became a thing. And I was so happy that we could do it. You know, I love getting agents together because it is a lonely business, like Emily and I were talking about. It is lonely. And it's hard when you feel alone and you could get stuck. Like, you know, sometimes agents be like, they get stuck in the depression, and they're like, I'm alone and I'm just going to go back to bed. But when you have other people doing what you're doing and can help, you know, see your struggle and give you advice on your struggle, it changes the game. You know, it's easier and more fun to do business together.
I think it's like that mentorship side too, of making sure that you really truly do have a mentor in what you're doing, and somebody that you can reach out to and can kind of get some insight from and some feedback from. Like, you can show up and watch these videos over and over and over again. I had somebody the other day that asked me, they're like, Zach, why do you give so much value on the Medicare Mentors Pro Plus side? Like, why do you guys share so much? And like, are you afraid of people like encroaching on your business or doing stuff or whatever? Most people don't do it. Like, they show up like this is friends. You know, they watch it. They're like, oh, that was a good episode. And they move on with their lives, which is terrible.
And they don't implement it. Agents don't implement it. Like, how many times have we gone to training and said that this was great, and then we didn't implement it? And that's why I wanted to have this strategy session with everybody. And
Friends is a much better show than me. Like, go Netflix Friends if you're not going to do what we say. Like, so like because otherwise you're wasting your time. And so have a plan of implementation. People never walk away with a plan of implementation. And so you have to stop and you have to ask yourself, what is my plan of implementation? How am I going to take what I do? And that's what was so magical and mysterious about what you did on the other side. And I don't know how many people know about. I mean, we went to a hockey game, but not only did we go to a hockey game, you got like the fanciest damn tickets you could find in the place, where we had like a full buffet, right? And I was a little suspicious. I walked up, I'm like, how long is this food out? And they're like, till halfway through the third period. Joanna paid for the big one, you know? I'm like, okay. So, and then we went back to this mansion. We were all staying in the mansion so we could stay up all night. And I was doing automations for people and showing people how to make Facebook ads. And we were able to do that stuff live together because we were in the same space and we were doing the same thing. And there's some real value when you have some coordinated, planned, productive time, and you're able to recognize people. You gave people a bunch of tools to grow their business, to really take off and do things. And that's the kind of thing that I think really misses from like a lot of FMO trips and stuff. So if you are an upline right now and you're trying to do something, one of the biggest lessons you can take away is when people come on this trip, are they only going to get a good time, or are we rewarding them with the things that they can't buy? Right? Anybody can go buy tickets to a conference.
Right.
Anybody can go buy fancy tickets to a hockey game, right? But you can't buy the manual you set in people's hands. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, now that I have it, you can buy it. Anybody can.
You cannot sell it.
I'm kidding.
It'll be on eBay later today.
But it's something that that's the stuff that you can't buy. Is somebody who values and wants your business to succeed. And that's what you transfer to somebody when you bring them together, and you're not only giving the event, you're not only giving the things. When you're having meetings like this where you're like, okay, great, we learned something cool, but how do we do something with that information? How do we do something with that? How do we transfer it? And so what I've loved about hearing all of this is people came with ideas, but they didn't really just come with ideas. For the most part, they came with, this is what I'm doing in my business.
Yep.
That's the goal. That's why this was all worth it. If we all went and we just sat in a room, you know, which I surprised because a lot of agents sit in rooms like this half hungover. Thankfully, we did not run into that problem here. But if you show up, you pay attention, you listen, you do your due diligence, you do what you need to do, you really pay attention, you come along with a action plan, then it's a million times worth it. But we're at 11 Eastern. I'm going to give you the last word, Joanna, because I came in here and hijacked your training. Go ahead. What do you think? What was your big takeaway that you want to leave people with after being to this event and seeing everything happen?
I think my biggest takeaway was we already have the tools. We just got to use them. I think I heard that all week. We have this. We just have to use it, right? You have the contracts. You're just not using them. You're not running the business. You're not offering your clients the products because you're scared. But a cancer policy sells itself, and so does hospital if you offer it in the very beginning. Zach, didn't you do a session about a month ago on everything Medicare doesn't cover?
Yep. And so here's the other thing too. Boy, if you stayed 30 seconds over, here's the fire hammer dropping here. What we heard over and over and over from the stage was, I tried this and it didn't work. So I tried this and it worked.
Yep.
And agents are terrified of trying and failing. And you can't succeed if you don't fail. Or you have to pay somebody who has failed for you.
Exactly.
For learning from their failure. You know, you can't have it both ways. And just because you pay somebody who's figured it out in the past doesn't mean that their process is going to work for you, doesn't mean that it's going to be successful. So one of the biggest things that an agent can take away is A/B testing and running. I just ran a series of 5 events, local events. I spent almost no money on them. And I got like 1 or 2 attendees total from all 5 events. Any agent looking at what I do would be like, Zach, you're a complete failure. They may be right. But my goal was not 100 people showing up. My goal was A/B testing copy to see what was going to draw people in before I scale up my spend. Now that I know what people respond to, now I can scale up my spend on the things that were going to work. Now I can scale up the things that were going to happen. So don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid to not fail. That's a double negative.
And there's a lot of things that agents can do that doesn't even look like work, but it helps with your branding and marketing. If you look at my Facebook, you might get an idea of that. You know, I don't talk about insurance all day long on my Facebook page, but it brings the boys to the yard, you know, like people inbox me and ask me for help when they think about, oh, my mom needs help with their Medicare, Joanna, you know, because I'm in their face with non-insurance things, you know, showing what I made for dinner or out at an event or whatever, you know. You have to be present though. So creating the omnipresence, but just implement something today, something tomorrow, and just add on to it. I think that's where most business people fail, is they're not implementing. They're getting stuck in the same old. And if you do the same thing, you're not going to get different results.
100%. Well, thank you everybody for being here with us. Thank you to all of our guests. And Joanna, thank you for creating an event of a lifetime and inviting us all to be there with you through the whole thing. We all appreciate you. And you guys, hey, it's Monday. You got a whole week ahead of you. Get out there and make it happen. Love you guys. Have a good day. We'll see you on the other side.
Bye.
That's a wrap. If this helped you close more deals, hit follow. New agent training drops every week only on Topflight Insurance.